What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Who You Got with
MELO
and RADO. It's a sports podcast where you talk about your favorite sports highlights, sports matchups, and the best sports events that are going around the world for sure. And what's going on, my man MELO? How you been, man?
Man, same old, same old, same old, same old. It's gonna be hard for me to talk. Got two teeth pulled and apparently got a busted lip from it. So, mind me if
Oh,
I mispronounce a few words. But midst of NFL season, I think week 6 now, week 7, definitely going hand. But that's not even what brings us back here today. Start of
that's
the
right.
NBA season is back, baby. This is crunch time. What we wanted, man. Middle of multiple seasons, we got NBA, NFL, fight games. We just got a lot going on. So definitely
College
glad
too.
the NBA is back, man. Yes, college ball. We got college basketball coming soon. This point is October, and it's everyone loves October for specific reasons, and this is
Yes.
one of them. So
It's
we
literally like
we we out here to talk about basketball.
best sports time of the year. I mean, for some people,
Oh
obviously, they
yes,
like their baseball. They like their baseball playoffs. Obviously, we love the
October is good for
NBA
baseball.
season.
Yep, yep.
The middle of the NFL right now, so you're getting to see the best
Hmm.
teams kind of pull it out. But yeah, like you said, we're here for the NBA starting back up. I'm so happy. I'm so glad because you know us. Well, we're ball players. You know, we love basketball. Obviously, you got the 2-3 behind you. You know, I
Oh,
like
that's a
that.
fact. Got
I,
that. Got that Jordan jersey. I mean, I got actually. So my boy Alex, he used to collect these jerseys in college. I had a North Carolina Jordan one. Right there is a college from Gervin. It's a
that's
college jersey
Garvin.
from your boy Gervin. Like my man had all sorts of jerseys. He blessed me with a few when he left. Shout out to my boy Alex Coleman. He's out there doing things now. Always had a fan. Always had love for the jersey. So I definitely like NBA is my bread and butter, man. Basketball is my favorite sport. I'm not even gonna act like it's not. Talking about NBA is my favorite thing to do. When we first started, we previewed the NBA playoffs, so we knew that we was gonna do NBA regardless. So definitely being able to come back into a full season, actually start fresh, and really just be here throughout that whole season with you guys, definitely something I'm looking forward to.
Now, I'll be honest. I think for me too, I love the NBA so much. Obviously, like when I came to the States, I didn't know NFL at all, but I knew a little bit of
Right.
basketball because I watched Jordan. You know, when I was in
Who
Europe.
Jordan
So
was.
that's
Right.
my favorite sports, and obviously I love talking about it, so I'm definitely happy that the NBA is back. So I'm definitely
That's
down
a
to
fact.
get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it. We got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about some free agency signings, obviously some trades, see what's going on in the offseason, what to expect coming up this year. Obviously, give a couple of suggestions or predictions more about conference finals, NBA championship, a couple awards, just oversight of how we think the season's gonna go. But that's first off. Let's give it up. NBA champions Milwaukee Bucks, man. Last time we left it off, they pretty much beat the Suns in the finals and walked away. Giannis walked away with his first championship. Probably won't be his last. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. Don't know if
Oh,
it
that's
will be
a
his
prediction,
last in Milwaukee.
bro. That's a
That's a
big prediction.
conversation for another day.
With
Right.
the East being so good, that's a big prediction.
Yeah. So it's not gonna be as easy, but it was a amazing finals to watch. Just watching two teams who haven't won it. I don't know if Suns or they never won it before or just haven't won it in a long time. I
So
don't know
yeah, Suns
exactly.
won it back in the 1980s. That was the
Right, that
last
was
time.
that. I'm pretty
It
sure
was a-
one of them actually won it before. But yeah, first time it was a
so
finals that we didn't know the two teams.
I just want to bring that back. It was Milwaukee that won it in 1979. My
Yes,
bad.
and the Suns
My
never
bad.
won it. Yes, that's what it was. But they've been before.
They have been to the
Yeah,
final before. Yep.
exactly. Yeah. So yep, you're right
Somebody
on
told
that.
me he never won one. Then that was the closest. That's why.
Yep. And I would say it was Jordan beating Charles.
Exactly.
Yeah, so and that was a good series. But that's what it was. It was a good series of fresh new teams, fresh new faces. Um, killer mentalities out there. Suns looking like they were gonna take the first few games. Bucks had to make some adjustments. Pretty much someone else besides Giannis had to step up. So it was a great finals, and pretty much the NBA was like, all right, that's over with. Let's make some moves. Let's shake some shit up. And now the new season's about to start. And let me say, a lot of shit was shooken up in this offseason.
Did they ever, yo? So many people moved around. Obviously, there was
Oh
some
yeah.
trades that were going on.
Oh yes.
Some teams actually created big threes, that
Hmm.
I didn't think was going to happen. And there's some teams that were out of the playoffs last year that this year look really strong.
Oh yeah, they're going to yeah for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some teams who were in the playoffs last year that didn't do enough to probably keep themselves in there. That's something that we got to talk about as well. So there's a lot of change going on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start off with a couple of free agency signings that I really messed with this year. So first off, shout out to the Bulls.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to the Bulls, yo. Like they made to me the biggest buzz in the offseason.
Sure.
They just had Zach LaVine, they added DeRozan, they added Caruso, and they added Lonzo Ball. Got rid of marketing, getting some cap space. They got other big men to fill in that spot, and pretty much they're looking like, to me, they're going to be the most exciting team to watch this year. Watching that front court do what it's supposed to do, and watching that back court actually evolve into what it's supposed to evolve in. I'm definitely excited about that. So yeah, definitely DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, as Caruso, all getting moved to the Chicago Bulls was a big, big, big move for me by the organization, man. What about you? Anything else stick out to you?
So I gotta agree with you right there. I think the biggest off-season moves were definitely the Chicago Bulls. They put in the most work. Obviously, last year before the trade deadline, they got Nikola Vucevic from Orlando. So
Thank you. Yes, I knew there was I knew there
needed
was a front court that they got rid of marketing for a reason. That's what it was. Vucevic is already there.
marketing. So obviously, marketing. He went on to Cleveland. Who I think he's going to do big things there too because
Yes.
Cleveland need a big guy like that. They needed a offset forward center type guy. A lot of guards in Cleveland. I think that they actually made a few moves too that I liked. There was a Ricky Rubio move that they got. Who's going to be their backup point guard? That's what they really needed last year because they couldn't score points.
No ball handling. Yep.
And no ball and no bench scoring really. And Ricky Rubio can really pass the ball around. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to run the offense. And I think with Colin Sexton and Ricky Rubio back there, and even marketing, honestly, I don't think Cleveland's going to make the playoffs, but I think they're definitely going to take a step up. Obviously, they were one of the worst teams
It's in a
last year.
step in the right direction. Yeah. I mean, we're still wondering what they're going to do with all those bigs, but like you said, they finally added a little bit more mobility. But marketing, at the end of the day, he could play up to the three. He might be a big three, but he can play up to the three. He's not as strong. I think they will.
Yeah, I think he's going to play They got rid of Andrew Drummond, so they're going to need a big guy in there, But let me just go back to Chicago real quick because I love Lonzo Ball on Chicago. I think that is the perfect fit for him.
Yes.
I think he can play so well with a guy like Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine is not the type that needs the ball in his hands. Lonzo Ball kind of does need the ball in his hands because he loves to distribute. He loves to take it up the court, and he loves to distribute the ball, going inside, passing it to the outside. Vucevic is a good three-point shooter. He's going to be able to shoot it. DeRozan, he's kind of known for that mid-range game. In Toronto, he was like that.
Take the game over when you need to.
And they still got that big dunker in Zach LaVine, who last year he scored 26 points a game. So you can't overlook that at all. I think they're definitely going to make the playoffs. That's one of my teams that didn't make it last year that I think is going to make it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%. Like Lonzo Ball, obviously me and you've been fans of the Ball brothers since Lonzo was small, and we, obviously good to see all of them getting a shot. Jello is kind of getting his back and forth opportunities to actually still making the league, but he's showing that he can stand with the big boys. So at the very least, you got three NBA ready brothers, but we followed them for a long time, and seeing Lonzo reinvent himself, allow himself to change his shot, learn to play off ball because now his shooting's actually improved a lot. Not to mention him, Caruso, and DeRozan playing the defense that they play. Like that's going to be a great team on both ends of the ball. And Lonzo is going to be able, like you said, perfect fit because he has shown that he can take that step back and learn to play off ball, and be good at it. And he's shown a little spurt of that on a preseason, and that's definitely something I'm really looking forward to. But I feel like the East just did that. The East just improved. Like another team that did that was Miami Heat, picking up Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker to already add to Jimmy Buckets. You got Bam Adebayo. Fucking disgusting defensive team right there.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking disgusting. You still got shooters, you know what I'm saying? Like they also made some big moves. Obviously made the playoffs last year, but they took that next step to where they needed to improve on how they needed to. So that's another team that I'm looking forward to seeing this year on the additions that they made.
Yeah, for sure. Gordon Dragic, he was getting a little bit older, so they kind of needed to move him. I mean, I know Kyle Lowry's like in his upper years too. He's 34 right now, but I think he fits that system more with Jimmy Butler. He's going to fit it very well, and they needed some outside shooting. Kyle Lowry can provide that. Jimmy's another guy that he scores in a mid-range game a lot more. So Miami definitely needed another outside shooter. They still got what's not bad that why I forget his name. He's nice.
Hero or Duncan?
Oh, Hero. Thank you. Duncan
Yes.
Robinson's another one who I think he's going to be on the bench this year.
They still got their shooters. Yep.
But Hero, he didn't take a step up last year. Obviously, 2 years ago when they were in the finals, he was one of their best players. He was probably their second best player, I think, in that finals. Obviously, they weren't able to win it, but he was definitely a big part of the reason why they got to the finals. I remember one game he had like 38 points in the playoffs, so he's definitely that type that can score big. They're going to be a very high-scoring team, I think. I think they're gonna score it up high. Another team that I'm looking at is the New York Knicks right now. I mean, they just picked up a really nice pick in
Kemba. And Evan Fournier.
Exactly. Evan Fournier.
Yeah, no, Kemba and Evan definitely went to a good team in New York, man. You're right on that.
Evan Fournier, he was averaging 18 points last year, and I think a guy like Kemba who needs the ball in his hands, I think that is going to be a pretty nice pick and roll play with him and Randall doing the pick and roll. It's going to be really interesting to watch. I do think the New York Knicks are going to make the playoffs again this year. I think they might even be a top 5 team, honestly, this year. They're not going to be in the bottom 3 or even in playing like before. I think this year might be the year for them to step up. But, I mean, if you want to talk about some teams in the East that maybe took a little bit of a step down, I kind of got to say the 76ers. I mean, we still don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons. He's saying that he doesn't want to come back. They did pick up a few guys. They picked up Andre Drummond as the backup to Joel Embiid. And I think that was a good pickup because they know Joel doesn't play all 82 games. He usually plays around 60 games. He always takes games off. And Drummond's definitely a nice little pickup. He could be a starter some other place in the league, but he chose Philadelphia because he knows that he's going to be able to play when Joel's not there. And he'll be able to get big numbers for them. He's still going to probably get double-doubles for them, even on the bench, I think. Andre Drummond was definitely a big pickup for them. But as far as them, I think they're going to take a step down. Obviously, it depends what happens with Ben Simmons. But I think they're one of the teams that might take a step down. What do you think about them?
Oh, no, for sure. They didn't do anything. Not only did they didn't do anything, they basically destroyed any chemistry they had. No one even knows the type of play they're going to get. Ben Simmons over there acting like a middle school kid. Just no one knows what they're going to get with the 76ers this year. And even if Ben Simmons shows his best, they don't like each other. You know what I'm saying? There's no way they get better than what they were last year, and they didn't do anything to get better than they were last year. So at this point, knowing what we know and what happened in the offseason, they 100% basically just took a step back. And it really sucks because, we can go into we will go into a whole another episode regarding the whole 76ers issue, Ben Simmons in the process.
Definitely going to have to revisit that episode. We already did the process episode. We definitely got to revisit it because, like I said in that episode, if Ben Simmons gets traded, then I was wrong. The process does not work. The
process is over, right?
He stays this year, and if they make it big, if I'm wrong again, and they actually take a step up, because Ben Simmons last year he was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate.
He's still a great player. For sure.
He definitely played well other than the playoffs. Obviously, everyone knows his playoff struggles, the missed free throws, the missed shots. He had trouble doing that. He had trouble in the game 5 of the Eastern Conference Series. He passed up the ball because he didn't want to get fouled because he was scared to take the free throws. So Joel Embiid really got at him for that. And you saw this offseason, I think that's one of the reasons where they're kind of mad at each other because Joel's like, bro, you're the one that was missing free throws. Why are you not here in the offseason working on your shot? I mean, you might be somewhere.
The organization gave my man everything he needed for year after year after year.
I mean,
everyone else's fault.
At some point, you got to work on your shot. You remember when Lonzo was in LA? People were talking
shit. And that's exactly what I love about Lonzo.
And you see now,
my man was shooting like this.
Oh, I remember that left hand holding it up like that. Oh, it was
he came and reinvented his game like he needed to. Even Giannis is out here pulling up, Giannis first came in the league, my man couldn't shoot no fucking threes. You know what I'm saying? We got
Mhm.
Brook Lopez out here shooting no fucking threes. Like, shoot. Like, you can't tell me you can't shoot. You won't try to. And like I said,
I think you're right
I
too.
don't want to get into it. Like,
But no, I think you're
this,
right. Just a little bit about that because I do think that when Philly had Markelle Fultz, that was one of his problems too. His shooting game was terrible, and I think that might be a problem with Philly's
no development.
physical department, or they're not obviously teaching the guards how to shoot as much, or they're not changing up their shots, just letting them be how they are. And I think in the NBA, once you get in there, you got to work on that 3 point. You just have to. Obviously, it's farther away than college. You got to work on it. But
It's a 3 point league. Like, it's a shooting league. Like,
exactly, especially because the league is mostly 3 pointers. More teams take more 3 pointers than 2 pointers now, so definitely a 3 point league. And speaking of 3 point league, I mean, you got other teams that definitely made some moves. Like the Suns, they made a couple moves, and they even signed Michael Bridges, which I heard today, which was
yeah,
very good signing
yep.
for them from
And they
contract.
got Shamet in a trade for Javon Carter.
Which is a good shoot. He's a good shooter as well.
Mm-hmm.
He played really well for the Clippers. Javon Carter, who used to be on Brooklyn, he was a good pickup as well. I think they're
So
definitely
now
going
he's on Brooklyn.
now he's on now he's on Brooklyn.
He's a good pickup for a backup for a ball handler, a guard for sure.
Right. Yep. He got traded for Shamet. You're right. And I think the Suns are definitely the type of team, them as well as the Golden State. They love shooting threes, obviously, and they're going to be very successful in this league. So I definitely think that teams that are going to be shooting more threes now are definitely going to be successful in this league. I mean,
Yeah.
you see a team like the Bucks last year. They had Bledsoe shooting threes, they had Middleton shooting threes, even Giannis was out there shooting threes. Wasn't scared to shoot threes. So
Right.
obviously, it's just moving in that direction. More threes and twos, and it might be tough for teams like Toronto, San Antonio, and teams like that to even move up now because their offense is literally around the mid-range game. It's pick and roll mid-range. So it might be tough for those type of teams to start moving up. You got any other moves that you liked? Maybe trades or something that you liked during the offseason?
Yes. So obviously those were a few free agent signings. But one of the last free agent signings I want to talk about was Wizards picking up Spencer Dinwiddie. The reason why that was such a good signing is because of what happened with trade. So obviously the biggest trade in the offseason was the Wizards getting rid of Russell Westbrook, sending him off to the Lakers, and in return getting Caldwell Pope, Harrell, and Kuzma. So for me, adding them three with Bradley Beal plus Spencer Dinwiddie, like it seemed like a band of misfits. But that shouldn't be the worst team in the NBA anymore.
Nah.
Like, and then that's pretty much what I took away. Like the Wizards took a step in the right direction. That should not be the worst team in the NBA. They got some playmakers on their squad now. They got people, couple. Kyle Kuzma obviously got potential 6-man of the year candidate. Spencer Dinwiddie obviously is a great ball handler who can score. Kyle Pope's a great 3-and-D player. So they'll be able to make some noise this year. But obviously the biggest part of that trade was Russell Westbrook going to the Lakers, man. Lakers got their big three again, adding Carmelo Anthony. I don't know if Trevor Reeves is actually going to play because I know he got injured. But I think they got Kendrick Nunn, Malik Monk. So that squad right now is looking pretty decent. Obviously, a lot of people are wondering if Westbrook works, how that chemistry is going to match up with all three of them. Especially a lot of people are judging his first few preseason performances very harshly. I also think that's a championship caliber team that was clearly moving in the right direction. You get a little older, but they did what they could to try to pick up that bench. So that was a great move. What about you? How you feel about all that going on between the Wizards?
So for me, I got a little different take about the Lakers. I got a little different take. I'm gonna be honest. So I don't think it's the right fit for Westbrook. I really don't. I think it is a championship caliber team for sure.
Right.
They are a championship caliber. They're definitely one of the best 4 teams in the West, possibly one of the best 2 teams in the West. With all the talent they got. I mean, you pretty much mentioned everybody. They even got DeAndre Jordan as a backup.
That's right. Yep.
Anthony Davis. Right now, they did say that Anthony Davis is going to move to the 5. He's going to play, center position.
Choice. That's the best option for them, especially now you got Westbrook. You can't have him with another shooter or another big that can't shoot. We need you as a 5.
he's always said Anthony Davis has always had a problem playing the 5. When he was in New Orleans, that was his biggest issue. He didn't want to play
They
the
want
5.
to bang with them big boys.
So there might be a little issue there. LeBron's moving to the 4 now. LeBron's going to be a power forward. So it's going to be definitely a little different. They're going to have probably Monk playing that 3 spot.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think that this might be a slightly bad move, LeBron loves the ball in his hands. LeBron loves to distribute. He loves taking it up. And that's the same thing that Russell Westbrook loves to do. He loves taking the ball up the court. 75% of the time, he's taking it up the court. When he was in Houston. So it might be a little different for him. I think LeBron did say he's going to defer to Westbrook right now. So, maybe Westbrook is going to be able to hold it a little bit more. But I don't know, like towards the middle of the season, if LeBron gets like a little annoyed with him, you know how he gets. LeBron, whenever he gets annoyed, especially with a new teammate, he'll get very annoyed real quick with them. And if he doesn't like something,
have Westbrook sitting in the corner waiting to shoot a 3.
Nah, that's not Westbrook. That's not Westbrook. And nobody's afraid of him, like you just said. Nobody's afraid of Westbrook to shoot those. He's like 35% in his career. So you really can't be afraid. I do think they're a championship team, like you said. They do have the skills. They got shooters. They got enough firepower out there that they could definitely, make a big run in the playoffs. But I just don't think, even if they do make the playoffs, I don't think they might win a championship. I don't know. We'll talk about it later, but I don't know if they're a championship team.
It all depends on how the other teams in the West play, but obviously they got their championship contender, like you said, a top 2, top 3 easily. Whether or not that trade was the right trade, it is a little iffy. Was that the best option for them at the moment? More than likely.
I think it was the best option for them, and they wanted to get rid of Kuzma. They needed to get rid of Kuzma.
There wasn't no one else that they can pick up at that caliber. So, there's a lot of things going on, but will they win a championship is the big question. And
that's a big question.
You don't know with that roster. Because that's one thing about them. They're old, and I don't want to say that to shit on them. But at the end of the day, you start getting injuries, you do not have that bench to take you past any playoff round. You know what I'm saying? You use 1.5 out of those big 3. Where are you going?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where are you going?
See, every athlete knows when you get older, the one thing about when you get older, you get a little bit slower, but the only issue is when you get injured, it takes you longer to get healthy. When you're in your 20s, you get an injury, you can be back very quickly, weeks, in a month. But when you get injured as an older player, 34, 35, 36, you start getting those injuries and those little aches and pains, and you don't come back for months and months and months. So I do think that might be an issue with them. I think that they, like you said, they got enough firepower to beat like most of the teams in the West. They might have an issue with the Clippers. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But as far as the move, I think you're right. That was probably the only move they can make. Right. Especially because I think the Wizards really wanted to get rid of Westbrook. They really wanted to get out of there. They didn't want to pay him $44 million a year.
Especially if they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, they didn't want to do that, and I think that's probably the only move that the Lakers could have made. So I do think it's a decent move. I don't think it's the best move for them. I think somebody like John Wall, if they could have somehow gotten him, I feel like that could have been a little bit better move. Right now he's in Houston, so
better defender.
Yep, I think so too.
Well, I don't know if John Wall came back all the way.
He hasn't, but I think that as far as like having the ball in his hands, he doesn't need the ball as much as Westbrook does. He doesn't need to take as many shots as Westbrook does. Westbrook is used to taking like 15 to 20 shots a game. Right now when he's with LeBron and AD, they're going to be taking 15 shots a game. Westbrook's going to go down to like 10, so we'll see if he's going to be able to do it. Like, I don't know if you saw any preseason games with the Lakers, but they went 0-6. 0-6 in the preseason. Didn't win one game.
I know. Obviously, he looked bad.
Yeah, they're trying to get to know each other, but that's pretty bad, man. Like, for a team that wants to win a championship, to go 0-6, it's pretty bad. So they might have a rough start.
Mention, if 1.5 of the big 3 aren't playing like they did in preseason, the team ain't winning nothing. That's what I'm saying. Like, that team don't have everyone else together. Like, Dwight Howard and Malik Monk are not about to carry you.
No.
And that's definitely an issue, though.
That's for sure.
But one more team I want to talk about, because we're talking about Malik Monk, is obviously talking about the Ball brothers and everything, is the Hornets. I mean, they got rid of Devontae Graham, sent him off to the Pelicans. Well, not really got rid of him, but they allowed him. They didn't sign him free agency.
Yeah, they opted out.
But they got, exactly. They got Kelly Oubre. They got Mason Plumlee from Detroit, which I love because we're from Rochester right now, and that will allow Isaiah Stewart, Rochester native, to get the start at center. Our boy's about to get that start in Detroit, so we love that. But right now, come on, they improved on giving not Lonzo. They improved on giving LaMelo pretty much the weapons that he needs. Like I said, Kelly Oubre is another ball handler that can do work, improving on his defense. The Warriors make sure that they taught him a little bit. We'll see if it carries on. Obviously, they still got Washington and they still got Tucker, and
Yep,
they
PJ
still got
Washington, big,
Graham.
big 3 and D for them.
No, not Graham.
Obviously, Plumlee and Plumlee can shoot threes, and
No,
obviously
yeah,
LaMelo
yeah.
can shoot threes. And now, like you said, they got another guy that could shoot threes, and Kelly Oubre.
Bridges. That's the name I can't remember. So yeah,
What-
they have.
say that
I
again?
kept thinking of Bridges names and
Yep.
Miles Bridges, and I couldn't remember. But
Yep.
basically, they got weapons now, and that was probably the most funnest team to watch last year. And they just improved a little bit more. And obviously, Lamelo's getting even better.
I think he's going
So
to take a
that's.
step up for sure. I think he's going to improve in points. He might even get up to
Mhm.
25 points a game right now. I think even his assist numbers are going to go up since he got Kelly
Yep.
Oubre and Plumlee because they can go inside. They can go inside and they can shoot threes.
That's what
So
I'm saying. Like, yeah, Kelly's gonna help on his shooting, and Plumlee's gonna be good for the pick and roll. So I think that the Hornets took a little bit more of an improvement, and they're definitely gonna be good.
no, that's for sure. I think they're going to be an enjoyable team to watch again. Obviously, LaMelo is a very exciting player to watch. So I definitely
Yeah,
want to see
yeah,
what
yeah.
happens in his career. I already predicted this on last year's NBA show that I think in 3 to 5 years, LaMelo is going to be an MVP. I already said that, so I do believe that, and I think he's definitely going to take a step up again
He's
this
gonna
year.
start getting close to them triple double averages more consistently.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
crazy because even if you look at Lonzo, he got close to triple double numbers in New Orleans. You know, he was averaging like 8 assists, 7 rebounds, and like 14 points. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's goals. You know, like obviously he wasn't getting as much touches like he would in maybe even in Chicago. I don't know how it's going to work out with Chicago because they got DeRozan and Zach LaVine scoring a lot of points, but
He definitely get a lot less points and assists.
yeah. Yeah, I think his assists will definitely go up to like the 10, 11 range, but his numbers are probably going to stay around 10 points, 12 points a game, something like that for sure. But as far as LaMelo, I think he's going to take a step up to like 25. They're a great team as well. The
Mm-hmm.
East took a step up this year, man. The
A
East
lot of teams. Yeah,
moved.
yeah, yeah. A lot of
I mean,
teams, like even the Celtics. We ended up getting Horford, Josh Richardson. Like I said, we got Josh Richardson from the Mavs. Got rid of Moses Brown in that contract. Got rid of Tristan in another trade. I think we ended up picking up Dunn. With that, we got who else we got?
that's a good pickup. That Dunn pickup is really
Yeah.
huge for needed point guard help. Obviously, y'all lost Kemba Walker. I mean, he wasn't a
Oh,
great fit for
Schroeder.
y'all. So
Just
you
got
guys
showed up.
definitely
Like
need
I knew we gonna have the guard. So yeah. So even then, not necessarily all the moves we wanted to make as a Celtics fan, but I do understand that we still, like most teams, we did what we could and took steps in the right direction.
yeah,
Improved
definitely
on what
did.
we improved in the East. Did that a lot. There's gonna be a lot of good teams. Obviously, the Hawks are gonna be back in the playoff run. The Knicks showed improvement. The Heat showed a lot of improvement. Obviously, the Bucks are trying to repeat and at least come back. Philly might have taken a step back. Brooklyn added some pieces. No one knows what's happening with Kyrie. So whether or not they're gonna actually be at full force, we'll know. We
But
don't
even
know.
then, they're
So
a top three team. Even without Kyrie, I think Kevin Durant and Harden by themselves, top three in the East. Top three,
yeah,
easy.
for sure. Especially what they added Millsap and Patty Mills. So yeah. So
So
yeah, the East. It feels like the West did nothing, while the East just made hella moves and improved, and the West just one piece here, one piece there.
the West made, obviously the biggest move was the Westbrook move. That was
Mhm.
probably the top of the line move. Most of the other teams
Most of
didn't
the top
really take.
contenders didn't make any other like big moves like that. Just re-signings of their top players. That's about it.
Clippers didn't. I thought this year, I really thought that the Warriors were thinking of trading Wiggins, but obviously they didn't do it. They were
I mean,
talking
well,
about
they got Clay coming back, Wiggins, they got Kaminga, they got
Ingram.
Curry. You know what I'm saying? They got what's his boy? Oh, big man, the big boy, Wiseman. You know what
James
I'm saying?
Wiseman.
They still got Draymond. Warriors definitely can't be slept on because basically, Curry by himself damn near dragged them to a scoring title and a playoff run. So
I mean, for sure. You saw last year. He broke another record for 3-pointers made. He broke the third place record for 3-pointers made
mhm.
last year. So obviously Curry's definitely going to have a big year again. I think Clay is going to have a big year again too. Like now that he's coming back. I don't know if they're going to keep Wiggins by the end of the year. I think they might try to make a move.
They'll try to get rid of him for some bench. I mean, but think about it though. Who else? It depends on if Kuminga is really that boy.
I do think he is. I think Kuminga is definitely going to take a step up this year. Right now, he is their backup three. And he's a great dunker and great defensive player. Long arms. He can defend very well.
That 3-and-D player that Wiggins is supposed to be, then yeah, they'll definitely get rid of Wiggins for some pieces. But once again, who's going to take him?
I think there'll be a few teams that want him. I mean,
there will be a few teams who need some forwards.
They're gonna need forward, especially a three like him. I mean, there's teams that need threes. Maybe not. They don't need point guards. A lot of teams now. Point guards are. The NBA is wealthy with point guards right now. If you look at the point guard position, almost every NBA team has a nice point guard. So it's hard to get a trade going for point guard. But as far as a three, not that many teams have that many forwards that are that good. Other than Kawhi, LeBron, these guys. Obviously, Durant, sometimes he plays a three, sometimes he plays a four. But
right, yeah. I hear you. No, you're right. There'll be some teams willing to pick them up.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
So that's another team. I think Indiana is another team that we didn't really talk about, but I think they took a slightly step up as well in the East. Brogdon is coming back. 2 years ago when he left Milwaukee and he went to Indiana, he was averaging 24 points a game. Last year, obviously, he had that big injury on the PCL or ACL. I forgot which one it was, but I know it was a knee. And he was out most of the year. He only played 11 games. He's coming back this year, coming back strong. I think they're definitely a team to watch as well. They got Darren Collison. They got a nice little squad over there. So
I mean, in the East, as long as you can be average, you can make some noise and get to the playoffs. So, it's clearly not as hard. Like the West, they got there's 6 established teams, and they're just basically everyone else fighting for those few spots. But in the East, besides the top 4, top 5, half the playoff is whoever makes it. So, definitely a lot of teams can make noise in the East. So I'm definitely excited to see that this year. For sure.
Indiana made it last year with the play-in tournament. They made the playoffs. Winning the play-in tournament, they won in as the 8th seed last year. So, now with guys being healthier, who knows? They might even take a slightly step up, maybe going to the 6th spot, 5th spot. Who knows? But let's talk a little bit about the draft, because I know after free agency, the draft was exciting. A lot of teams tried to get better that way. Teams that didn't have as much money to pick up players, they had to get better from the draft. So let's talk about some of the favorite players. Who was your favorite player right now that was picked up in the draft?
Oh, easy. For me, it's Jalen Green. My man did absolute work in the G League at Ignite last year. Him and Kuminga are on the same team, just killing it. He's, to me, shown he's probably the most NBA ready. Absolutely killing it in the preseason. My man got a green light already, and he's showing he can shoot it from everywhere. So for me, he's probably the most impressive rookie that I'm gonna pretty much enjoy watching this year. What about you? Is he your favorite rookie, or is I'm not seeing the smile you gave me?
I noticed a debate show, and we're supposed to debate and disagree, but I gotta agree with you, man. And I've been saying this for at least 2 years. When I saw him play in high school, before he went to the G League last year, like you said, he went to the G League. He didn't want to go to college. He wanted to get paid. He was playing with the big boys last year. He was getting work in, man. 18 points a game, doing work as a young rookie playing against, veterans. Some veterans, some young guys that play in the G League too, but definitely guys that are NBA ready. He was playing against, and you saw his potential. I think he's definitely going to be a great shooter. He can shoot from the 3. He can shoot from Curry range, from Trey.
He can shoot far.
Trey range, yeah. So he's definitely a shooter. I love his style of play. And I do think that obviously they're not going to make the playoffs. Houston, they're just not. They're just not a deep team. They don't have depth. They do got Wall and Green. I think they might make some noise offensively, but they're just going to be allowing a lot of offense on them. So they're going to be allowing a lot of points being scored on them.
But Western Conference is going to be too hard.
Yeah, I just love his game. A lot of people love Cade Cunningham because he's a little bit taller. He's 6'8". He looks like Magic Johnson with a shot. But as far as overall gameplay, the way that he dribbles, his moves, I think that Green has a better step back. Green has a better crossover. He can move the ball a little bit better. Yeah, Cade Cunningham's a better dunker for sure. But I really thought in this draft, I wanted Green to be picked first overall. I thought he should have been. There's other guys that we could talk about too. There's obviously the other Jalen from Villanova. He's going to be a decent point guard. He's going to be a decent point guard. He doesn't have as good shot as the top two guys, Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green, but I do think he's going to be a decent point guard, averaging around like 6 assists in the rookie year. So I think that was a pretty good pickup actually too.
I mean, we can't be spoiled. Not all these NBA prospects are going to come out here and just start scoring 30 a game, 20 a game. You know, some of them are going to they're not even. Some of them aren't even grown yet. They literally are still in their kid's body. It's going to take a few years to not even grow into their full form. So definitely,
that's true.
Just because some look better than others, you know.
Jalen Green is because he played against those big guys, and he actually showed that he can go against them. You know, and he was scoring against them. 18 points is nothing to sneeze at. You know.
That's for sure. That's what I'm saying. He's the most NBA ready one right now.
I think so too. I mean, there's other guys that I did want to talk about that I liked. Scottie Barnes. I think he's a good forward. A lot of people seem to like him. He's tall. He's lengthy. He reminds people of Kevin Durant, but as a small, a slightly shorter Kevin Durant. He's around 6'7", 6'8", but he's got the wingspan, like 6'11", wingspan as well. He can't shoot as well as Kevin Durant. I don't think anyone in the league really can, other than Curry and Clay. Right. I think with time, I think he's definitely gonna be a better player. Orlando Magic picked up Franz Wagner, who was on Michigan. He's a good forward too that can shoot. I think that was definitely a good pickup for them because they got rid of Nikola Vucevic last year. So that's definitely a spot where they needed him. He was definitely a good pickup. And there was one other guy that I wanted to talk about is Davion Mitchell from the Sacramento Kings. And if you know his brother, then you know that this man could shoot too. So his brother, obviously the Mitchell name we know, Donovan Mitchell, he's going to work for Utah. And Davion Mitchell, similar type of player, a little bit smaller than Donovan. Davion is more of a point guard, but he's still as good of a shooter as him, as Donovan Mitchell. So I do think that he's definitely going to be a good pickup for a young team in Sacramento, who a lot of people don't really see doing much. I think, on the other hand, I actually believe Sacramento is going to make the playoffs this year. I think he might be a big part in it. He's not going to be scoring 20 points, but I do think he's going to be in the high 15s and getting around like 7 assists a game. For a rookie, that's pretty good.
No, for sure. And like obviously, we can't just expect them all to go out there and do work. But some of them got to get ready, for the NBA systems, the NBA speed, the NBA strengths, and it's gonna take some acclimating to get used to everything. But for sure, we got some dogs in this draft class, and they're definitely going to be all-stars and superstars in the next 2 years. So that was a good draft class, not as star-studded as most people would think, but it was nice because not everyone specifically came from college.
Exactly.
A couple kids,
the first year, couple different players to go to the G League, which is awesome. Finally, there's more options for players. They can either go, obviously the Australia route. They can try doing the, either in Europe or somewhere. But now that they're allowing kids to get paid in college and they're allowing them to go to the G League, I think that it definitely takes a step in the right direction. I've been saying that they should be paying kids in college for decades now. So I think it's definitely a good step for them. But I do think a lot more players are going to go in the G League now because they see how Jalen Green did, and they see that, he's playing with NBA guys. He's seen the travel. He knows like what kind of, what it takes to be an NBA player. Because in college you're playing 30 games, something like that. Right. In the G League you're playing around 50. Obviously NBA is 82 games, so I think it definitely makes you a more ready player to be in a G League than in college. That's just my opinion.
That's what I think. Definitely.
Let's go into since we're looking at the NBA draft. Let's look at who you think is going to be the rookie of the year this year.
Oh, easy, Jalen Green. 18 points per game in the G League, 2.8 assists, 36% shooting off the threes, 1 point, just over a block, no, just over a steal a game because he was 1.5, and then 4.1 assists. So my boy's doing his work. 4.1 rebounds, 2.8 assists. So my boy was doing work in the G League playing with grown men. Led his team to a deep playoff run, and pretty much already got the green light on the Rockets, and he's pretty much gonna go off. So as simple as that.
You know what? So I'm kind of torn a little bit in this one, but you kind of just talked me into by the last thing that you said is because he's got the green light in Houston, and I think that's exactly why you're correct. I was gonna go between him, and I was gonna go with Scottie Barnes as well, because I think Scottie Barnes also is the type of guy that's gonna get a green light in Toronto. They don't have many playmakers there, and he might be definitely a higher scoring player. But I think you definitely change my mind, because I do believe that Jalen Green already has the green light in preseason. He had a game where he scored 30, so I think he's the type of player that's definitely going to show out. He might even have a few games that he scores 40. I believe it. He's that type of dude. He can score. So I agree with you. I think the rookie of the year this year has got to be Jalen Green for me.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm glad we both picked him, and we both see that. We both see the talent in him, because I've been watching him since he was in high school, and he was supposed to be the number one overall. Oh, he was the number one overall talent in his class, which was the 2019 high school class. Obviously, he decided to go to the G League. Yeah. And Cade Cunningham, he was in college, but even Cade Cunningham in college, he only played 8 games, so you didn't even see much from him. We don't even really know what he is yet. It's going to be, it's going to be interesting seeing how he develops. But I just got so much. I think so much of Jalen Green. I think he's definitely going to be I think he's going to be a star in this league. I really do. Give him 5 years, he'll be a star.
No, definitely do. The boy got a bright future, and definitely easily going to win Rookie of the Year, barring any injuries. What about some other awards? Let's go through some of them. Like, what about Sixth Man of the Year? Who you got?
Okay, so this is an interesting award. Sixth Man of the Year. We're always used to like some of the same names. Obviously there was that Lou Williams. There was one.
They're not even on the same teams anymore.
Nope, and Lou is not there anymore. So there's going to be a new kid on the block. So honestly, for my Sixth Man of the Year, this might be you might laugh at this, and some people make memes of this man. Some people, call him white chocolate. I think my man Alex Caruso is going to get the Sixth Man of the Year. Alex Caruso.
Stop it. He is not going to be putting up enough points.
So, honestly, I think he's going to be getting around 10 points a game. The Chicago Bulls don't have much of a bench. They do have a good starting lineup, but other than Caruso on the bench, I think he's going to be scoring. He's going to take a step up. In the Lakers, he really didn't get a green light, because when he was playing with LeBron was taking the shots. And they obviously had guys on the bench in the Lakers that were taking shots too. They weren't giving them a green light like I think they will in Chicago. They always signed him on a big contract. So, it's a multi-year contract worth, I think it was 3 years for 60 million or 50-something million. So that's a pretty big contract for a bench player. He's obviously going to be, going behind Lonzo. And I think he's definitely going to be getting around the 10 to 11 points with 3 or 4 assists, and I think that's enough to win. That might be enough to win Sixth Man of the Year for me.
So I see where you're coming from, but I already know someone who's going to do better than that coming off the bench.
Who you
Your
think?
boy Patty Mills.
Oh, but see, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Patty Mills, if Kyrie doesn't play, Patty's starting.
You think he's going to start?
Patty's going to be starting. So, but you might be if Kyrie comes back and play. If they change the mandate, I think you might be right about that.
But they might just start. And here's my thing. They still might keep Patty on the bench to start Harden at 1 and put someone else in, like Thomas next to Joe Harris, because you still need someone coming off that bench who can score.
Sure,
and if you have no Patty Mills, you have nobody. Literally, Millsap and Cam Thomas, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like. So you're right. It is barring Kyrie, but I still think I still feel like with James Harden and Durant be having a ball in their hand so much that they still might try to find a way to put more forwards and shooters around them instead of actually putting Patty Mills in the start. I would personally think that would be the best option, like I said, because you still want that playmaker who can come off the bench and have the ball in their hands and run that offense. Because at this point, like I said, barring any one of them missing time, Patty Mills basically has to step up big time. And because they're more than likely going to miss time, with Kyrie and everything that's going on with injury history, Patty Mills pretty much gonna shine. He's gonna pretty much do points, assists, pretty much run that offense when it's needed. So, you do make a good point on Kyrie, but I still think that even without Kyrie, they can keep Patty on the bench, and that he ends up walking away with $6 million a year.
I kind of agree with you. I think that they do need to put Harden at the point. Obviously, Harden's used to averaging double digits.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if Kyrie's not coming back, put Harden at point, put another shooter next to your boy Headband. What's his name? Fucking Headband Harris.
Headband Harris. But the only thing is that I was watching the preseason with them, and they had Patty starting. So I don't know what's going to happen with Kyrie. If they change the mandates in New York and Kyrie comes back to play, I think you definitely are onto something, honestly. The only thing is he going to come back, and are they going to start him? As of right now, they did start Patty Mills at the 1 in preseason. So if they have him on the bench, I think you probably got a really good shot at Patty Mills being a 6th man. And I think you're right. The way that Brooklyn should play is Harden should be at the point. I think that's the best option for them right now. I just don't think that that's the way that they want to play. They're kind of moving hard now.
I mean, but also you could think that they may be hoping for Kyrie to come back, so they're only Patty Mills as the backup point. But if it becomes Kyrie's not coming back, Harden might permanently get moved to the 1. Because right now it's still up in the air, so they might just whoever his backup is starting until we figure this out.
I could definitely see that.
Then you're right. Caruso definitely have a lot of opportunity to use that high-powered offense.
People want Caruso to win something. Think about all the NBA fans. Like, some people joke on him, but I think a lot of people actually respect him a little bit. They see that he looks like a regular guy. Out there. I mean, he's 6'4". He really isn't a regular guy, but as far as looks, he does look like a regular dude just out there.
Right.
Now, so a lot of people do, give him some type of respect, and I think the NBA does like him. I think that could definitely be a good pick. My other pick that I think could be a 6th man is Kevin Porter from Atlanta. He's a good shooter. He hasn't started, and they're going to need bench shooting as well. He was averaging 11 points last year, so that wasn't great. That wasn't bad, but there was other guys like Jordan Clarkson that was averaging like 19 last year, and obviously that's how he won it. But I think if he takes a step up, Kevin Huerter, he's still like a young player for Atlanta. I think he does have a slightly shot, but I think my pick is Caruso. I'm picking Caruso. I'm sticking to it.
So if I gotta choose someone else, I'm not sure what we're doing in Boston yet. But if Schroeder's not getting the start, my man could easily walk away with 6th man of the year if he comes off the bench.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Easily. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, easily.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't know what they're doing yet there, because there's been a lot of rumors that Marcus Smart is getting the start at the 1. So it's still, we don't know yet. We'll see this week. But if Dennis coming off that bench, and one of our biggest issues with the Celtics has been our not being able to score when our stars aren't in. Our bench scoring has been so weak. So having someone like Dennis who could take over the game when we need to,
that's a good pick.
So I like it's hard to choose because it's a lot of dependence when it comes to 6th man of the year. So I hear you.
True. I mean, that's true. Especially like the first 10 games of the season is tough because teams are still checking their lineups. They're moving around the lineups. They're still trying to figure it out. So you really don't know who's really going to be on the bench the full season. You don't really know the teams haven't figured out their lineups. Like I said, the Lakers, they were trying to, obviously they still had Westbrook, LeBron, and AD, but they were moving around pieces like Monk, and they were trying everyone out. They're still trying to line up, so they don't know what to do. Clippers don't know what to do. We don't really know who's going to be a full bench player. If Jordan Clarkson on the Utah Jazz, who won the 6th man last year, he's going to be starting this year, or they're going to keep him on the bench again, as with Davion Mitchell obviously doing his thing. We'll see.
Exactly. No, I hear you.
But those are some good.
But you know what?
I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, a couple different options on both ends, depending on what's happening. Because, like you said, we got to wait to see what the lineups look like. But this one I'm interested in to hear because my pick is another one that's very interesting, but also has a lot of dependence. So who do you have or who you got for Defensive Player of the Year?
Oh, defensive player. So this one, I think I was going back and forth on this one, to be honest, because there was a few guys that I was looking at. I mean, obviously, we got the guy in Utah who's a 3-time defensive player of the year. You know, obviously, you can't go wrong picking him, picking Rudy Gobert. Obviously, he's the biggest name out there in the defensive player of the year name. But I think my player is going to be Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis this year is going to step it up. He was averaging 2 blocks a game last year. He wasn't started. He started only 60 games, so 20 games he missed. Guys like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid were on that list last year. Ben Simmons, he moved out of there because he was injured too halfway throughout the year. But a guy like Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis, they have such similar stats. And Anthony Davis was in the conversation last year until he got injured. He was 4th in the conversation, but he was in there. I think if he does take a step up playing defense in the center position, which I think if he plays against some slower centers, he could probably get a few blocks. You know, he's faster than them. You know, he's used to playing a little bit faster style. I don't know if he's going to be able to bang with them, you know, down low, and if he'll be able to get some a lot of defensive stops playing post-up game. But I do think as far as like the block game and like those plays that are exciting for people to watch as a defensive player of the year, he's going to get those players. So I think my pick is going to be Anthony Davis.
I mean, I feel you. Just for me, it's hard to ever consider him for any reward because of his injuries. He's not going to last the whole year. We already know that.
Contingent on injury for sure. He's got to play those games.
But now my pick of the year also contingent on a lot of things. No one knows what the hell Philly doing, but I got Ben Simmons for Defensive Player of the Year. Our man could guard 1 through 5. I'm hoping that in a year where everyone hates him, he could double down on something he's good at.
Got a chip on his shoulder
and really go out there and play great defense. They might not want to give it to Gobert for the 4th year.
I agree with that right
and there. Ben Simmons have as close to Gobert's stats as anyone last year. You know, like I said, Embiid and Anthony Davis were way too injured to be considered. Ben was a little less injured. So I think this year it's dependent because if that media narrative around him being a dick keeps going around for the rest of the season, him having temper tantrums, not wanting to be a team player, he's not winning no awards. I don't care how good he is. And that's as simple as that.
I just don't think it's going to follow him that far. Like the media thing, I think it'll die down towards, the first 20 games.
We'll see how they play. So obviously, if he just gets focused on playing and getting a season, at that point, he's going to do good. You know, he was at 106.6 defensive rating. He's at 24% rebound, 24% blocks, 20% assists, 7 rebounds, 1.8 steals, and 1.6 blocks. So, he's doing what he's supposed to do. Literally doing what he's supposed to do. So I think that this year, with a little chip on his shoulder, and more than likely he ain't going to learn how to shoot a 3. Maybe he plays a little better defense. So I'm hoping that can pretty much happen like that for us. So we'll definitely see. I'm not 100% sure. But that is who I got for a defensive player this year. And we'll definitely see how that plays out because there's a lot of dependence. If not, then I'm going to go with Giannis.
I think you like on defense, and I'll give you my second choice on defense.
I'm going to go with Giannis. If they don't go to Ben Simmons, he's improved on. That's your second choice. He improved on everything. Yeah. And he's pretty much on a great defensive team. He looks good in this preseason. He's another one who can guard 1 through 5. So So more than likely, I'll be honest. Like I said, Ben Simmons. I'll be honest. Giannis probably is my better choice that I think will win it. But I want to give it to Ben Simmons this year, and I want to give him an opportunity to show us that because I think he is an amazing defender, and I'm hoping he can show something.
Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, obviously last year he was top in the Defensive Player of the Year award halfway through the season, so he definitely has the potential to win that award. I think if he plays most of his games this year, he definitely has a great chance to win it. I just think that Anthony Davis needs to take a step up on his defense, especially if he's going to play center for the Lakers. He needs to take a step up.
See,
That's why
for me, I think that might not help him, as now he got to play with them big boys. His defense might take a hit.
I think he's a little bit faster than a lot of centers in this league.
But not as strong.
Not as strong for sure, but he might be able to get some blocks. And like the one thing about defensive player of the year, that's why Rudy Gobert's always been the top goal getter. He's always at 2.5 blocks, 2.7 blocks, and people love seeing that. When you're over 2.5 blocks a game, then you're definitely up there for one of the top goal getters. And I think that he definitely has the ability to get that. Anthony Davis, he usually averages around 1.8, 2.0. He's had 1.9. So he's had years where he's around that area. If he just takes a slightly more step up, I think he could even potentially get that. But I do love the Ben Simmons pick. Great choice. Yeah. I think it's a great choice.
I hear you. And the reason why, I'll be honest, the reason why your boy Giannis was kind of my second option is because that's who I got for your MVP this year.
Ooh. All right, let's get into it. MVP.
Yeah, MVP. Giannis kind of like, my man is 26 years old. 26-year-old MVP already. Defensive Player of the Year already. NBA champion already. 26 years old.
So
we're talking about 28 points per game, 11 rebounds, 1.2 blocks, 5.9 assists, 1.2 steals, 68% free throw, and pretty much literally improving, and has been in his career hitting 1 out of every 3 threes a game, and he takes about 3 threes a game. And as long as he keeps improving on that aspect, there's no stopping him, man. But what was you gonna say? You telling me what?
So here's the thing, though. Like, remember what you were saying with Rudy Gobert? Like, this is he's gotten it so many times that they don't want to give it to him. So Giannis won the last 2 MVP awards. You really think he's gonna be the first player ever to win 3 in a row? First player ever?
At this point, besides a literally miraculous year from Luka Doncic, I don't see any player or Durant. Like, but besides any one of those like 2 players basically destroying the whole NBA on their own.
Okay.
Then Giannis is just far above almost everyone else when it comes to what he brings to the table.
I mean, I can't
because
really.
He's bringing you defensive player of the year numbers with superstar offensive numbers on a team that's probably going to make it to the playoffs and probably going to make it to the finals. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, the numbers I can't disagree with there. You're totally right there. But my thing is that I think that there is a little bit of a little bit of hesitation to give him that 3rd award. He'll be the first one to ever receive it. I think Rudy Gobert is the same with him. They just don't want to keep giving them the same award every single year. They want to kind of spread it around. And honestly, for my MVP this year, it's none of the guys you mentioned. I think my MVP this year, Stephen Curry. I think he's going to have a big year. First of all,
we talked about this.
So here, listen to this. He got back Klay Thompson. Last year, remember, they still almost made the playoffs. They were up there for the play-in tournament and everything without Thompson. And Curry, remember, he was scoring 30 points a game last year, 31 points a game. I think now having a guy like Thompson, that Curry's not going to be the only man on the field. They're not going to double him now. It's going to open things up more. I don't know if you remember the 2016, 2017 season. Curry was so monstrous because they couldn't ever double him. They had to watch Klay Thompson moving around. Klay Thompson loves moving without the ball. And so does Curry. Curry's that one. He's a little pest on off ball, Everyone hates him off ball because he moves around so fast, goes through screens, does that. And I think this is going to be a big year for them. I think they're going to be a top 3 team in the West. They're going to come back with a vengeance right now. They picked up big guys, and James Wiseman, he's not a scorer. He's going to be getting offensive rebounds, I think. I think Curry is a type that's going to be able to score around 33 points a game this year for sure. And I think the NBA is going to love to see Golden State coming back. And if they're a top 3 team, if they're number 4 or 5, I don't think Curry would win it. But if they're a top 3 team, I think they can give it to him. I think they would give it to him, taking him that far. I think Curry is going to have a big step up again, and he wants to show people that Golden State is back. He doesn't want people to think that he's past his prime either, which I don't think he is. Last year he played great. Being the only one on the team, being doubled. So that's my pick. What do you think about that?
I don't know, man. Like I hear you, but it's it's highly unlikely that he's going to keep that level of play while adding all those pieces at the same time when so many pieces are new. Having Clay come back, having to learn how to play with Kaminga, Wiseman, Clay, and all of them learn to play together while still averaging like 30 a game, I don't see that happening. Because he's not selfish. He's going to want to get the whole team involved. He's going to want to get Clay his 15 plus. He's going to want to get everyone involved. As long as they're winning, he's fine by that. He dropped 30 a game last year because he had no choice.
He had no choice, but he was being doubled, and he dropped 30 a game.
And he dropped quadruple, and he still dropped 30 a game. So like he really showed that he clearly is MVP caliber. But unfortunately, as we've had this conversation, that's not how they judge MVP. You pretty much have to be on an amazing team that's pretty much doing good and stuff like that. So for him, for the Warriors to be where they're supposed to be next year, he would have to take a step back. And he won't get that by winning MVP. So that's basically the part we disagree on, that you're basically thinking everyone could come in, the team improves while he still stays at his level of play.
I do think so because, like I said, last year he was scoring this way without any other options. Now he's got those options. Now he's going to be able to.
And he's going to try to get them more involved.
But that's true. But that way he gets more assists too. And assists help out for MVPs too. If he gets around 6 to 8 assists and still scores around 30, those are pretty good stats. Those are stats decent enough to get an MVP, I think. I don't think in this league, even Giannis, obviously his stats are monstrous because of his rebound a game. He gets like 15 rebounds a game. So that's the monstrous stat you see. But he's already averaging 28 points a game, It's still nice, but it's not like nothing crazy. Not like last year, like Harden and there was guys that were scoring 36 points a game, So I don't think this year is going to be as much. Like, I do believe what you said is right, is that it might have to be on the best team. That's why I do believe if they're top 3 in the West, and the West is tough, I do think they could give it to him. I don't think Doncic is going to get it, that you mentioned him, because I think that the Mavericks are just not there yet. They don't have enough pieces. They picked up Goran Dragic as a backup.
He can't take over series by himself.
He could take series over by himself, but they just can't move up to that top 4 spot in the West. I don't think they're that good yet. I don't think they have the firepower yet. I mean, if we'll see what happens with Doncic. I think he definitely score points. He can definitely get assists and get rebounds, get triple doubles. But as far as like MVP, I look at a guy that's gonna move his team up. Obviously, they're getting Clay back this year. Golden State is, and that's gonna open up a lot of things for Curry to me. I think that's gonna open up a lot of things, and he's gonna be able to move off ball again because that's what he loved to do in 2016. He loved playing off ball. Obviously, Draymond was the one that was moving the ball up the court, getting those assists and passing it off.
Right.
So I think the Warriors are back, honestly. I just believe so much in them this year. I think they're a top 3 team. But either way, if Giannis wins it, if Curry wins it, and if Doncic wins it, I'll be happy. I think one of those 3 guys deserves MVP again.
Well, yeah, I think Durant over Doncic, because if Kyrie don't come back and Durant leads the Nets to an absolutely monstrous season, he's clearly going to be an MVP contender.
I just see with that, I think the same with the Lakers and the Clippers and the Brooklyn Nets. I think that there's going to be too many split votes. Harden's going to get so many points. So is
That's why I said if Kyrie don't come back. If Kyrie don't come back, I think Harden will. Because think about it, most MVPs still have another option on their team.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah and no, because I mean, if you remember 2 years ago, Kawhi Leonard was number 1 at one point with like 60 games left. He was number 1 MVP candidate. But as the season moved on, they were kind of splitting votes. They were giving some votes to Paul George. They even gave him like a few MVP votes. They gave him like 1 or 2 MVP votes. And when you're splitting votes like that, the guys that are doing the MVP voting, they're just not going to want to give it to it. That's why I don't think LeBron's going to get it. I don't think AD is going to get it this year. It's just going to be too many split votes. Even if they're number 1, even if let's say Brooklyn is number 1 and there's a team like Milwaukee that's number 2, I think that Giannis has a better chance than KD on the East to get the MVP. I just think it's that way. Just they always, if you think about it, the last few MVPs, like, they've mostly been, like, obviously the last 2 were Giannis, and he has Middleton, but he's not really a superstar.
Right.
before that, obviously, we did have Curry but Clay was coming up at that time. He wasn't a superstar like we know him now. He was a star, So I think that
Clay was a superstar at that point.
I mean, superstar is a little different, man. To me, superstar.
So when Curry won his MVPs, Clay was at his prime basically, and then right after that, he got injured.
I agree. I just never thought of Clay as a superstar. Superstar, I look at as like a guy that can control the ball, control the team. Get his own. Obviously, he can score 60 points in 3 quarters. He can score 40 in 1 quarter. So we know what he can do. We know what Clay can do.
But he can get his own shot. We just don't see it often.
We don't see that often. And he
Clay's a walking bucket. Yeah.
He can't control a team. You don't look at him as a leader. I don't look at him as a leader of the team. You look at Curry as a leader of the team, or even Draymond. A lot of people look at Draymond as a leader of a team. So I just don't think that, he's a superstar to me. I think he's definitely a star. Definitely a star. He's never been able to average over 25 points a game, so I just don't look at him as in that level yet.
Yeah, because he always had Curry on his team.
Great, but that's why. That's why he's not a superstar to me. Curry was able to score over 30, though, so that's why he's a superstar.
Man, that's something I'm going to have to check off, because we're going to have to talk about that one day.
Even guys like AD, he was able to score over 25 with LeBron, who was scoring 25.
But so LeBron isn't the best scorer. LeBron isn't the best shooter in the history of the league. LeBron's not even a scorer like that. You know what I mean?
I agree, but he scores points. He definitely scores points.
Like LeBron will always defer to let someone else score if that person's a better scorer.
I agree. So that was
Clay always had the best. Clay always had the best scorer on his team as his teammate.
You're right. That was a great analogy. I should have. I should have
said fucking KD as well. Then it goes like the third option. You know what I mean?
KD.
Or when Clay had KD as well, like now he's a third option. You know what I mean? So like that's what I'm saying. A lot of people love to not really see what Clay can do because he's always been surrounded in a system that caters to Curry or KD. But my man is a walking bucket. He's proven that he can do it without the ball in his hands. But don't get it twisted. Send him to the Knicks and make him the vocal point. My man's averaging 25 a game easily. You know
I agree with you there. Yeah, if he gets moved. But like I said, I look at a superstar. You can play with any player on the team and still get your numbers. You look at a guy like Kawhi Leonard. He's moved around so many places with so many different players. Even with playing with Paul George, who is a scorer, Kawhi is still able to get his numbers. That's why I look at Kawhi as a superstar. I look at Paul George as a superstar. Even Doncic and you got my man, the big man. I'm forgetting his name from New York. Thank you. I don't know why I forgot his name right there. But even them two, they're able to get their points separate from one another. Doncic is obviously scoring closer to 30, and KP is closer to 24, 23. But he's still up there in points. I don't look at Clay right now as a superstar unless he moves on his own team and really shows us what he can do. And maybe you're right. It could be because of Curry. It could be because of Curry that I'm looking at him that way, but I just don't see it yet. I don't see it yet. I think he's one of the best shooters ever that we've ever seen. One of the best scorers that we've ever seen. But as far as a superstar, it's tough for me to say that, man. For me, there's only like 10 superstars in the league right now. Like that's what I look at as a superstar. There's 3 tiers for me. There's like that superstar level, there's that star level, and then there's the role player level. And that's for me, and I just don't look at him at that top level. I look at like 10 guys as a superstar, But I don't know. I like those picks though. It's gonna be interesting.
No, definitely some picks. Obviously, we got a lot of contention. It depends on what these teams are doing. So why don't we just end it on some predictions for the year? We went over awards, we went over some of our free agent signings. So let's just see how we think these teams are going to do. So who do you think is coming out the East? A lot of teams improve. A lot of signings happening. Some teams might not play how they should, depending on if people are coming back, i.e. Kyrie. So who do you got coming out the East?
So I'm going to do my Eastern Conference Finals prediction first. I'm going to pick the top 2 teams in the East who I think are going to be there, and then we'll do the West, and then we can do the Finals. As far as the East, we went through the teams that were good. Obviously, teams that stepped it up. Obviously, the number 1 team who everyone is looking at is the Brooklyn Nets right now. The Brooklyn Nets, even without Kyrie, I think they're the most potent team in the East. Obviously, Giannis and the Bucks, they won a championship. But honestly, if it wasn't for the injuries last year, I think the Brooklyn Nets probably would have beat Milwaukee. I think they would have if it wasn't for the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point right now, I got to put Brooklyn in there in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, my other pick, I think you might be a little happy about this. I got the Boston Celtics going to the East. This is the year where they could step it up. Like you said, they had some moves. They made some moves. They got another big man. You know, they got their man Al Horford, who was on there before, who played amazing with them. You know, when they had Isaiah Thomas back in the day. So that was a big pickup for them. I do think the Marcus Smart, if he starts, I think that's a great option for them. Obviously, they got that man Schroeder. Who's a good passer, and he can score too. He can score in spurts. I think they're definitely a good team. And now obviously they got back Jaylen Brown. Obviously, Jason Tatum is balling now. Last year, I feel like
we got a coach that actually planning on revolving the offense around Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Different offensive scheme too. I think that they're definitely a team that can make it farther than they did last year. Obviously, last year they weren't in the playoffs, but Jaylen Brown got injured. So that was their issue. They had injuries. I think this year is a big year for them, and that's my Eastern Conference Finals: Brooklyn versus Boston. Who you got for Eastern Conference?
As crazy as it sounds, I didn't even pick Boston. Just because, bro, I mean, obviously you got the Nets. And at that point, you got to bring back the defending champions. Like, they brought back the same team. They're great defensively. Last year, they outmatched us in a lot of different areas. So for me to pick Boston, I have to see how everything plays out. But before the season even starts, going off what we've already seen, like stuff like that, it's definitely going to have to be Nets versus Bucks for me coming out the East. And then, obviously, the Nets. Even without Kyrie, like you said, having picking up Javon Carter, Cam Thomas, Patty Mills, and Millsap off the bench. They got LaMarcus Aldridge back. Who knows how he'll play? But they got a decent bench now. So even then, I still got them without Kyrie. As long as they got Durant and Harden, with the rest of the team being healthy, I got them coming out the East. Nice. Yeah, the Bucks brought back the same team, and they look like they got a little better. Drew Holiday really showed his true growth. Middleton obviously showed that he can be counted on when they need buckets. As long as the role players keep playing what they're supposed to do, that team will definitely be top 2 in the East and make a deep playoff run.
See, I mean, I do think they had a few losses. I mean, the PJ Tucker was a big loss for me. I think he's a great.
For me, it wasn't, because I felt like they were losing space on the floor. Like, you already got, like, putting PJ Tucker on, like, you already got Middleton, who's okay on defense. You already got Giannis, and you already got Drew Holiday. Throwing PJ Tucker in that lineup made no sense a lot of times, just because they only threw him in there to guard someone.
They did, but he was always guarding the best player.
It fucked up their offense. You can have like for me,
made it slower for sure. They were definitely a slower.
So for me, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it worked. Like in the finals, they put him on Booker.
That's the thing.
And so it works on teams with multiple guards, because you had Drew guarding CP3 and then PJ guarding Booker. But not every team have 2 guards like that. Any other team who has any sort of forward, Giannis is there.
Pretty much, yeah, you're right.
And you got Drew for the guard. Like, you know what I'm saying? So for me, losing PJ really didn't mean much to me, because they got defense still. At the end of the day, like, they will a lot of their defensive schemes had to change in the playoffs anyway. They could not leave PJ on the island half those times by himself against some of those stars players. It wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for me, it just, like, that wasn't as big of a loss that people make it seem, because they still got other players who could play defense, and he wasn't losing much offense. And for me, he was a part of the reason why they were stagnant on offense, because you basically had a person who was only averaging shooting threes on the court just so he could play defense.
Definitely not a scorer. Definitely a D guy. And I kind of do agree because obviously last year Bobby Portis got injured in the playoffs. If this year he steps it up in that same role, similar type of forward player, I think that could be a role for him to step up, and Bobby Portis is a defensive player as well. So I do kind of agree with you there. I just think that, obviously Brooklyn's the number one team right now, but the Bucks, they had issues with teams last year. I mean, if it wasn't for some injuries last year, I don't think they would have made the finals, to be honest. I don't think they were the best team last year. I just don't think they're the best this year either. I think if you really look at, before the playoffs, obviously Boston was pretty low because they lost Jaylen Brown. But if you look at the middle of the season, Boston was still up there in the top 4 spots. And a lot of people had Boston beating the Bucks, and a lot of people had Brooklyn beating the Bucks as well. Now, obviously, you got teams like Atlanta who's stepping it up. You got teams like Charlotte Bobcats who are stepping it up. So they might do something. The New York Knicks, obviously, is stepping it up. So I think that Milwaukee is going to take a step back as far as seeding and ranking goes. They're not going to be the number one team in the East right now. I think they're probably going to be a 3rd seed, 4th seed, and that's going to be an issue for them, going on the road in places like Miami or in places like, obviously Brooklyn. I think that's a problem. Even Boston, which I think Boston is a top 2 team for me this year. I think they have that much talent.
No, I want to say they are, you know what I'm saying, but I'm just trying to be unbiased because I want to see if we look like we filled out the holes that we need to fill up on paper. But then we just lost a game with a few of our starters out, and we just got beat by Orlando Magic, and it's just like
I did see that.
When I look into, you know what I'm saying, so it's just like we still got some things to figure out. So I have hope. And that's the reason why I don't want to give them the high. Like, I'd rather be low expectations and be hopeful.
Bro, I feel you. Remember
when we did allow them to grow into what they have.
Remember the NFL preview, and we picked our Super Bowl picks for the NFL, and my favorite team is the LA Rams. I didn't pick them to go to the Super Bowl.
That's right. Yeah.
I see what they're doing now. I want them to be unbiased too. Trust me. So I know, but now I'm feeling sick.
Yeah. I hear you. No, they looking good right now too.
But I think the Boston Celtics, they just got a lot of talent. They're talented. Schroeder can score. Jaylen Brown can score. Jason Tatum, he's an MVP candidate. He was one of the guys we didn't even mention. I definitely think he's an MVP candidate this year, top 5. So I hope that they can step up. I think we both have it the same. I think Brooklyn's going to come out the East.
Yep. So definitely that's coming out. So what about the West? How you feeling about that?
Okay, so the West is a little bit tougher for me. I mean, honestly, we got good teams everywhere. We got teams that came out of nowhere last year, like the Suns. Obviously, teams that are coming back, like Golden State Warriors. Obviously, we see what the moves that the Lakers made. The Clippers are still relevant. People are thinking that Dallas is going to take a step up. So the West is definitely a little tough for me. But I'm going to have the same pick that I had last year. Even though it didn't come true last year, I got the Lakers and Clippers. That's my pick. Lakers and Clippers.
I see it.
I think they're definitely two teams that are going to be in the top 4 in their division. So they're going to get more home field than not. I think a team that could spoil it for them is a team like the Golden State Warriors. But if you look at the team as a whole, I think that the Clippers have a little bit more bench depth. The Warriors a little younger with Kuminga, with Wiseman, so I do think that bench depth, it goes to the Clippers. And I do think if you look at the league as a whole, the Clippers have the best bench in the league. Everyone is saying that now.
I was about to say, barring injury last year in the playoffs, they actually were going to make a pretty deep run.
Yep, and I do think Kawhi stays healthy enough this year. Obviously, he's always going to take his games off. He's going to take a little time off. But I do think as a whole, those are the 2 teams that are going to be really fighting at it at the end. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even got the Lakers going to the finals. I think the Clippers are going to beat them. And I'm not a LeBron hater, y'all. People would call me a LeBron hater, biased. I appreciate LeBron a lot. I think, to me, he's the second best ever behind the man that's behind you, MJ. But not number 24. Number 20. But I respect LeBron so much. I think what he's going to do this year is going to be amazing if he brings a guy like Westbrook to the finals. And Westbrook hasn't been there in like 10 years. The last time he was there was with Oklahoma City with Kevin Durant, and Harden was on the squad too.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's going to be a big accomplishment for LeBron bringing, guys like that to the finals. But I just think that Kawhi Leonard's on a mission right now, and he wants. First of all, the Clippers are on a mission too. You saw what Ballmer's been talking about, how they don't want to be the little brother no more. They're moving into a new arena now. They're going to be playing in a new place. This is going to be the last year I think that they play in the Staples Center. So I kind of feel like they want to do something. They want to kind of show out a little bit, and this might be their year. I think the Clippers are going to make the finals this year. What about you? Who you got?
So I honestly didn't pick two teams. I just ended up picking the Lakers.
No, a little bit so I can see you real quick. Come down because I can't see you fully. There you go. All right, my bad. I couldn't see you all the way. There you go. All right.
Nah, it's good. So I honestly just picked the Lakers. I didn't really pick two teams.
Okay.
But then, we were talking. I'm like, oh, I got to pick a team clear to face the Lakers in a conference final. And then you made pretty much great points. I mean, you got the Jazz, you got the Suns, you got the Warriors, you got the Grizzlies. Clippers
Dallas,
are pretty much Dallas as well. So I'm like, yeah, he's right, Clippers. And then you made another good point. I really thought to myself, I just chose the Lakers because of the moves they make and who they have on their team. But at the end of the day, I just thought about it. If the Lakers got to play the Clippers in a full, healthy 7-game series, I got Clippers going to the final. So I actually had Lakers. I was prepared with all my notes to say Lakers. Even talk about how, what Melo, Monk, and Avery Bradley, that they're, but nah, Lakers got a way better bench, a younger, more healthier team, and pretty much any one of those big three go down for the Lakers, the Clipper, yeah. Any one of those big three goes down for the Lakers, it's over. So
biggest issue, I think that they're older teams, so they're going to have a lot more trouble. Like if one of the big guys gets injured, it's probably over for them. But if guys like Carmelo gets injured, guys like DeAndre Jordan gets it, or somebody like that, or some of the older guys, it's going to be tough for them to come back because they don't have as much of a bench. Their guys a lot.
It's crazy. So I definitely had a Nets versus Lakers, and while we were talking, I ended up changing to Nets versus Clippers. So now we both got a Nets versus Clippers championship.
All right, so now let's talk about that championship because I think we might differ on this one. I think we might differ on.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go straight with Nets as long as they're healthy. Having Patty Mills coming off that bench, I think by the end of the year, Cam Thomas and Javon Carter are gonna come into their own. Having a good big man like Paul Millsap. So pretty much, I think it's crazy because it's two tough benches. But as much as we just talked about how good the Clippers are and how good their bench is, they just showed us last year as well. One of their big stars and out, they're not going to be as consistent. Yeah. It might be better to be off Lakers team. Like, so all of this depending on injuries, because we basically got three top teams with injury-prone players.
But we got to
so it all depends.
We got to look at this without injuries, barring any injuries.
So without injuries, you got to be the Nets.
Times we got to look at it like that because we don't wish injury on anybody. For sure.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So barring injury, I feel like the Nets will just be better offensively. Obviously Clippers are better defensively. But at the end of the day, man, Durant versus Kawhi. Oh, it's so hard. I really don't know. Because I had prepared everything for Nets versus Lakers, and I was gonna go Nets over Lakers because of how old the Lakers are and how they have no bench really. But Nets and Clippers look pretty damn good.
I think so too. I think
I'm just gonna have to go Nets. I can't even tell you why, but I gotta go Nets.
You know what? Sometimes you just feel it in your heart.
I feel it. Like I can't give you any logical reasons because that's a very good matchup, and the Clippers aren't no scrubs defensively. But you just can't put your money against KD.
I mean, so here's the thing.
You are,
but I am. but. And I only say this because I don't think you can't put your money off of Kawhi when he's in the finals. Because you see Kawhi can take over in the finals. Once he's in, he can take over. But here's my if. If my man Kyrie comes back to play for the Nets and, let's say whatever happens, mandates stop or they actually allow him to play throughout the season or even towards the playoffs, he gets in there. Mm-hmm. I got the Nets winning if Kyrie's in there. if he's not in the lineup, I gotta go with the Clippers. I think, like I said before, I think they got a better bench depth than pretty much every team in the league. I believe in Kawhi Leonard so much in the finals. I think he's the type of player that just wants to take over and wants to show out in the finals. I think this would make him the second player to win with 3 franchises, with LeBron being the first. Obviously Cleveland, Miami, and the Lakers, and Kawhi did it with Spurs and Toronto. Right. So this would be his third. But I think that Paul George needs to take a step up, because last year playoff peak kind of came out, but we need to come back again. We need him to do what he's doing this year. As long as Kawhi is on the team with him, you saw what they did. They got Terrence Mann out there who could score 50 on their bench. So if guys like that take a step up, on their bench, they're a scary team, man. They're very scary. And my only if is if Kyrie does not come back to the Nets. If Kyrie comes back to the Nets, I think it's over. I think it's been over before it even started. If it's a healthy team, Kyrie, KD, and Harden, it's got to be them. But we're looking at the season as it is right now. We can't really project to see. We're just projecting our matchups, but we can't project to see who's going to be playing or who's not. I'm looking at who's on the team right now, so I got to go.
Kyrie ain't on the team.
No, not right now. So as of right now, I'm picking the Clippers. And I think Kawhi is going to be the MVP probably. Yeah. For you, probably is going to be KD the MVP.
For sure. Yeah, for sure, KD. Definitely averaging 30 a game. Both of them are going to average 30 a game on whoever wins. For sure.
I'm going to be so interested in that finals because, first of all,
that would be the best finals. I would love to watch that.
Me too. And
I would rather have that over the Lakers, really.
Bro, thank you. Yes, I totally agree with you. Obviously, we have some LeBron fatigue being in the finals for so long. I just don't think it's hard when teams come together the first year. You saw what happened in Miami when LeBron, came in with obviously Wade and Chris Bosh. It took them a year to get adjusted, and they couldn't win that first finals. Obviously the same thing happened, a few years ago, even last year in Brooklyn. They were all pretty much fully, together, and then in the playoffs, that's when KD got injured. So that's when they weren't together. But fully healthy teams, it takes them more than a year to get together. That's why I don't think the Lakers are going to be able to do it this year. It's just going to take them a year to get situated, to get everyone ready. And as far as the Golden State Warriors are concerned, they could be a spoiler in this whole thing. They could spoil all our predictions because we don't really know what they are. We haven't seen Klay Thompson in 2 years.
So much better than we think right now.
We think Klay might be a shell of himself, but he can come back and he could tear up the league again. So,
and then with Wiggins, Kuminga, and fucking Wiseman.
So. Yeah, Wiseman's getting better. Kuminga's a good rookie. They still got Wiggins out there. If they keep him or if they trade him, there's still a possibility, with that. But that could be a spoiler. But as far as the teams look right now, with what we got, I think we both got the same finals, but we just got different finals winners.
Different winners, yeah. That's crazy. But either way, NBA season is about to be so good. Definitely glad. It really feel like it just finished, which I don't even care because I'm glad it's already back. Full blown into sports right now. We got NFL, NBA. We got UFC, boxing. I'm in love right now. I'm in heaven when it comes to sports, and I'm just happy, man. And I cannot wait for this NBA season. Like you said, you brought up some good points about Celtics going to the conference final. I do, as a Celtics fan, I am very excited about this year. I'm very hopeful. And then just as an NBA fan, there's a lot of different moves that we just basically talked about that's going to make for an interesting season.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be exciting teams. Teams are coming back from injury. So as we're finally getting to see teams pretty much fully intact, like I said, with Golden State, with the Clippers, Lakers now. We'll see what happens with them because they did terrible in the preseason. Obviously, teams like Dallas who could step up. Teams like Atlanta who made it very far last year. Will they do the same thing? The Knicks are going to be exciting to watch. I know New York is hype right now for the Knicks. See all their hype. They won one game this year, and they thought that they were like the best in the league. One game in the finals, in the playoffs last year, and they thought they were the best in the league. And then you saw what happened. Atlanta just tore them up the rest of the time. But the Knicks fans, sometimes they're delusional, but right now they're already. I'm hearing Knicks fans on the street right now. I'm in New York, and I'm hearing Knicks fans already saying, "Oh yeah, we got the finals. We got the finals this year." I'm like, but we'll see. It's going to be exciting to watch. I can't wait to watch this season, man.
Yes, sir.
And really appreciate you guys coming in to listen to us
Always.
talk about your favorite sports, your favorite matchups. We've been so happy to talk to you about this one. This has been very exciting for us. So thank you guys so much for listening to Who You Got with MELO and RADO. Please find us wherever you find your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Google, we're all over. If you guys got any questions, please go ahead and ask. We love it.
That's a fact, man. We always love the interaction on social media. We try to keep our pages up and active. We want to make sure that we're doing what we want you to do. We want you to love what we do. And it's just going to keep us giving out more content that you love. So love the support, love the interaction. Please keep it up, man. We love you guys. We appreciate everything.
If you guys want to watch a full episode of the podcast, please go on YouTube or Facebook. If you love listening, like I said, find us wherever you find your podcast. But thank you guys for listening to Who You Got with MELO and RADO.
Peace.
Peace.